want to tell you guys a story tonight. I didn't write a speech. I couldn't write a speech for this story. I want you to bear with me. This is hard for me to talk about, but it's something that you need to know about. And some of you might. But I want to tell you a story about a dog named Lennox. I want you to look at his name. I want you to remember his name. Now I want you to look at his face. I want you to look in his eyes. Does that guy look like a monster? Does he look like someone, a dog you'd be afraid of going up to? Lennox was brought into a family in Ireland, in Belfast, Ireland, just a few miles from where my ancestors came from in Northern Ireland. He was actually brought into the home for a child who had severe asthma as a service dog. That's him when he was a puppy. Lennox was an awesome dog. He was a great family pet. He had other doggies, brothers and sisters of all sizes and breeds. Lennox was kept with the family for 5 years, and like I said, he was a great family pet. The family was very responsible. They had Lennox neutered. He was microchipped. They had a 6-foot privacy fence. They had him muzzled at all times when he would go outside for walks. You guys know what BSL is? Who doesn't know what BSL is? See a few hands. Breed-specific legislation. What that means is that in certain parts of this country, and actually even in this city, in other countries, you can't own specific types of dogs based on their breed. Thing is, they don't have to be that breed. They can look like that breed, and you can't have them. Lennox, this is hard for me, I'm sorry. Lennox would live with his family for 5 years with never having any issues. There was never any biting history or any aggression with humans or with people. One day, Belfast City Council came knocking on the family's door. That's the Barnes family that owned Lennox. They came in, no big deal, just to sit down. They had coffee, they smoked some cigarettes together, they had a nice chat. At the end of this chat, they pulled out a tape measure, much like you'd see at a tailor. They went over to Lennox, they got down, and they measured him. They told the family, Lennox is of type. We're taking him. And they did. Nothing the family could do. Lennox was confiscated and put into a cell with no bedding, with no food, no water, no toys, sawdust, and his own feces. Lennox lived there for 2 years, guys. The family never seen him after he left their house that day. Never. They were denied. They went to the courts. They exhausted all the court efforts to help save him. Finally, this past summer, the ruling came down from the judge that Lennox was to be euthanized. Now, I'll tell you right now, there were many dog behaviorists. If you know the show, It's Me or the Dog, Victoria Stilwell is very popular. Of course, even Cesar Millan, that had said, this is not a dog that is any way, any shape, any form, a danger to anyone or any other animal. In fact, the same dog warden that said Lennox was a threat was getting licks from Lennox. She was scared of him, testified in court that he was aggressive, that he would hurt her or other animals. Does that look true? I mean, like it says, the camera doesn't lie. Not in Lennox's case either. But again, she testified that this is what happened. So the judge said, guess what? He's to be put down. A worldwide campaign then started. I watched the story go on for 2 years on Facebook. I kept my distance because I didn't know what I could do for a dog in Ireland. When I heard that he was to be put down, I decided I'm going to do something. Some of you that have Facebook and follow us on our CJN fan page know what that is. I don't want us to look like we are trying to get attention, so we're not going to show those photos that we put up. We did a campaign, and some of the photos that we did for our campaign actually ended up on the official Save Lennox campaign that was run partially by the family and spokespeople for the family. We're very proud of that fact. At the same time, it just wasn't looking good for him. His time was running up. So what ended up happening was that's the conditions that he started to become accustomed to with the Belfast City Council. As a dog behaviorist, to me, that looks like acid burns. I don't know for sure. I can't say. I don't want to speculate, but that's what I think it is. Lennox became my dog. Lennox became a lot of people's dogs. When we put our campaign photos up on Facebook, we got a lot of information and a lot of postings and thank yous from people in countries I don't even know the names of, like never even heard of before. It was crazy and it went viral, but it wasn't enough. I remember July 11th, and I'll never forget July 11th. I made a lot of good friends with some people that do internet radio, and I was lucky enough to be a guest speaker a couple of different times, talking about Lennox. Canine Justice Network, we offered specifically to a press release to Belfast City Council to take Lennox into our own home, make him our own pet, and even pay for the family to come visit him a couple times a year. They turned us down. We offered again. They didn't even bother reading it. We did everything we could do from the side of the ocean. A lot of people from Ireland asked us to put our campaign photos on billboards, and I made phone calls. I stayed up till 6 a.m. so I could call Northern Ireland on their time to talk to them about these billboards. As soon as I mentioned the situation, they hung up the phone on me. Tonight, a gentleman from Belfast purchased a reservation to be here. Obviously, he didn't actually show up, but he was so impressed with our campaign that he decided he wanted to buy a reservation. And Kevin, we're videotaping this tonight. Thank you. July 11th. I keep avoiding wanting to tell you about that date. I was sitting in a chat room on Facebook with friends. It was a chat room about Lennox, and updates were coming in constantly. This was the day they were supposed to put him down. We had people that were on that internet radio show actually flown over to Belfast, and they actually got a meeting with the Belfast City Council themselves. Now, I have to tell you right now, no one had ever gotten a meeting before with the City Council. They would not let anyone talk to them. And again, Lennox had not been seen in public or by anyone of the family in the last 2 years. So we were all a little bit surprised that one of these girls did actually get to go in. So we're all waiting on the internet, and this is 4 o'clock in the morning. So they let her in, and we're all super excited, thinking, oh my God, this could be a big deal. Like, they could actually maybe listen. Maybe they'll come to some sort of agreement. So while she's in there, there's another guy who's talking to her through text, letting us know online, and a group of us online, that had become friends, what was going on. He got back a text from her saying that they did listen to her speak, and Lennox had not been put down. In fact, he was alive, and they were going to consider letting him stay alive. But what really happened, the second we all got that information, they announced on their website that he was dead. I can't do his speech justice. I can't do his story justice. I sat in that chat room and I cried. I woke up the next day and I cried. And I know some of you may be thinking, it's a dog in Ireland. It's not a dog in Ireland. This is your dog. This is my dog. I have 2 mixed breed dogs that back before the spring, before Cincinnati lifted the pit bull ban, I couldn't walk my dogs on that side of the street. In Fairfield, you can't have a pit bull. It's not just pit bulls. Again, your dog can look like any of these breeds, and they can be confiscated or killed, or even sent to research labs. We did what we could for Lennox. It wasn't enough. I'll never feel okay about it. I'll never forget it. And I really hope that some of this stays with you. Lennox should never have been a martyr. I told one of the internet radio shows that I was on that the next day after this had happened, I don't want to see those pictures of R.I.P. Lennox with wings. I don't want to see that. I want to see him be set free. The family has been denied his collar for their little girl. They were just recently sent a plastic bag and a box of some of his ashes. No nameplate, no nothing on it. We don't even know if it's actually his ashes. A lot of people speculate that actually Lennox was killed quite a while ago. We don't know. This is not just one dog's story. This could be my dog's story. It could be your dog's story. Again, I can't do him justice. There's nothing I can say to do him justice, but I at least want you guys to know his story.